Welcome back. The chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Mike Turner, urging President Biden to declassify information related to, quote, a serious national security threat. The threat is related to Russian nuclear capabilities in space. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan will brief Speaker Mike Johnson and other top lawmakers later today on Capitol Hill. Here's Sullivan commenting on the Turner statement yesterday. Watch.
So I am a bit surprised that Congressman Turner came out publicly today in advance of a meeting on the books for me to go sit with him alongside our intelligence and defense professionals tomorrow. That's his choice to do that, and I'm not in a position to say anything further from this podium at this time, other than to make the broad point that this administration has gone further and in more creative, more strategic ways dealt with the declassification of intelligence in the national interest of the United States than any administration in history.
Joining me right now is California Congressman Mike Garcia, a member of the House Appropriations, Intelligence and Science, Space and Technology Committees. And Congressman, it's good to have you this morning because of your knowledge and experience on these committees. We want to understand further about this threat from Russia. They're calling this an anti-satellite technology because it could get in the way of U.S. satellites. Can you explain what the security risk is?
Yeah, and I can neither confirm nor deny the nation of interest, the technologies involved here. But I will say that in my 47 years of life, this is the most important national security issue that this country has faced. And there's a reason why we want every member to have access to this classified information. There's a reason why we actually want the president to declassify this information. I want to be able to have detailed conversations with Maria in the morning about this so that every American understands what this is, and we have the opportunity to effectively use this public information as a meaningful deterrence against it. There's a reason for it. And the fact that we wrote a letter to the president 3 weeks ago asking him for his response. We sit on the Intelligence Committee, which is only, 15, 18 folks, and we had access to this information a few weeks ago. But we needed the president to respond to this letter and with urgency. And the fact that he's sending Jake Sullivan over here today is interesting, but where's the Secretary of Defense? Where's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff? Why aren't they the ones coming and briefing us 3 weeks ago when they learned this information? And above all things, what is the path to not only defend against this national security threat, but the path to declassify so that we can get every American has a right to know what's going on here right now.
So you
look,
see
we're
this,
dealing with Jake Sullivan, who is good.
No, please.
We're dealing with Jake Sullivan, who's being treated as he's being treated as the Doogie Howser of national security issues in the White House. He's been then Vice President Joe Biden's right-hand man when it comes to national security. He's been wrong about 90% of the time when it comes to national security issues. And that's an unfortunate statistic when you're the national security advisor. So it's great that he's coming to the Hill, but we need someone who actually is going to put up a meaningful deterrence against this very significant threat, very real threat that we have high confidence in, and explain to us what the path forward is to make sure that we're protecting Americans.
So you see this as a bigger threat than the wide open border, which is an unknown in terms of who's coming in. They only needed 19 terrorists to take down the Trade Center. We don't know who's coming in the open border. You see this as a bigger threat than Communist China and its goal of overtaking the United States with all its aggression recently as well. And this is not some kind of a new urgency to get Congress to sign on to this new money to Ukraine.
No, absolutely not. This has nothing to do with Ukraine. This has bipartisan support. By the way, this push to declassify the information and release to all members of Congress, even the Democrats voted for it yesterday. I do see it bigger than the sum of the parts. This is potentially something that has global implications. And it doesn't mean that China is not important. Our debt isn't important. It doesn't mean that the open border is not important. The reality is we are in a blizzard of crises right now, and we have now an issue that we just became aware of that has not been addressed by this executive branch, that can only be addressed by this executive branch and needs to be declassified by this executive branch. So this is what we are pushing for, and things aren't going to get better as time goes on. And this is one of these issues that if you don't hit head on and if you don't publicly acknowledge it, the problem actually gets worse.
Congressman, this is very concerning, particularly given, as you say, blizzard of crises, which is what we're all feeling. Meanwhile, Politico obtained a new White House memo, which is urging lawmakers to pass that $95 billion foreign aid bill. They claim that if this bill fails, life will become easier for Iran. House Speaker Mike Johnson is pushing for strict border policy to be included in the bill, but to no avail. Here's the Speaker yesterday. Watch.
This is not a Republican issue. It's an issue for every single person, and everybody knows it. The Republican-led House will not be jammed or forced into passing a foreign aid bill that was opposed by most Republican senators and does nothing to secure our own border.
Congressman, I don't understand why it's so difficult to secure the border. I mean, we're all feeling the impact of this wide open border, from migrants creating havoc in big cities, causing crime. We've got a major Venezuelan gang right now in New York City. Why is it so tough to just secure the border?
Yeah, you don't understand it, Maria, because you're rational and you're intelligent and you're looking out for the security of our own country more than the President of the United States is, frankly. The president has at his disposal in the executive branch the ability to end catch and release, the ability to reinstate remain in Mexico policies that we knew worked, reinstate Title 42, stop giving free stuff to people who come here illegally, and be very loud and clear on a global stage that if you come to our country, you're going to be turned away and not embraced, not given a free United Airlines ticket to North Carolina or New York. And a free phone, right? And a court date, by the way, that's 8 to 10 years from now, and we're never going to see you again. We have 7 million people now who are here illegally, unaccounted for, effectively within our borders, and that is called an invasion, by the way. And this is something that was a policy that he ran on. Okay, this isn't human. This isn't Mother Nature. This isn't global climate change. This is a man-made problem, and that man's name is Joe Biden. And frankly, we've given him solutions in Congress with H.R. 2 and other things. The reality is we won't see this change until we get a new president.
You know, Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials telling the Washington Post that the agency is now considering a plan to release thousands of detained migrants into the community. And they're going to cut the detention beds because of budget for shortfalls, Congressman. I want to get your take on this. The other day I was talking to a friend, and she said she was at an Apple store. She was buying phones for her family, and she's trying to figure out the plan of how to pay for everything. All of a sudden, a family of migrants speaking Spanish come in the Apple store. They say, we need 5 iPads, we need 5 iPhones, the iPhone 15 they wanted, and they had cards to pay for it all. Is that what we're giving the migrants? Cards to go to an Apple store and buy whatever you want at the Apple store? And what about releasing all of these people who are detained?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we're on the verge of potentially a government shutdown and an out-of-control deficit and debt that we haven't seen, $33 trillion in debt. We're struggling to get food stamps to people, Americans that need food stamps, but we are giving these Apple cards out, Apple stamps, if you will, to these illegal immigrants who have come here with zero accountability, getting iPads, getting iPhones, and getting a path to living here without any accountability. I'm a first-generation American. My dad immigrated here legally in 1959. We're a nation of immigrants. I love immigration. We need to fix our immigration reform processes, but this isn't okay. Having an open border is not an answer to solving what is being termed as climate change or pressure from nations around us wanting to migrate to the United States. This is ludicrous.
It's certainly disturbing, and I guess it gets worse before it gets better, given they are about to release people who are now being detained. Congressman, we'll keep a spotlight on it. Thanks very much for being here this morning.